Oh, it's the Veil! Oh gosh, that's bad. So Amoonguss goes down. Messed that up. Hey everyone, Bowerdad here, back with another episode of Why Did I Lose, the video series where I seek to honestly review my ranked gameplay losses in order to become a better player and hopefully inspire others to do the same. My opponent in this match leads Liepard and Dusk main Necrozma, which appears to be a Trick Room lead. I am choosing the moves on my first turn with the expectation that they will probably max guard with Necrozma and copycat the Trick Room from that Pokemon. Necrozma will Dynamax, but they don't go for max guard copycat like I expected them to. Liepard's going to fake out the Zacian to skip that turn. Palkia is going to bring the Liepard down to Sash, but unfortunately, Necrozma is going to get a very convincing Steel Spike into my Zacian slot. This is going to do a bit over half of its health. They'll get the defense boosts, and I'll go into the next turn. I decided to protect Zacian, figuring that it cannot take another similar attack, and while it's unnecessary in terms of damage, I did decide that I'm going to choose this turn to go ahead and Dynamax my Palkia. I chose Wormwind in order to get the attack drop on the Necrozma. That was the functional piece of what I was going for. I was worried that Liepard was going to Thunder Wave. I actually am not sure if it learns Thunder Wave. I think it does. But the second turn is when they decide to do the Trick Room copycat play. Max Guard copycat play. So I wasn't expecting that, but they do get their Trick Room set up. I will take out their Liepard in advance, but they do, again, get that Trick Room up very, very safely as we go into the next part of the game. From there, we go into the first full Trick Room turn, and spoiler alert, this is where the mistakes are made. I look for a switch that I can make. My Zacian is unfortunately a bit of a sitting duck because I protected with it last turn, and now, since it has the highest speed, it is going to be moving last under Trick Room. Alchemy will decorate in order to boost the Necrozma. Another Steel Spike is going to come through, taking out Zacian as I expected it might. I was hoping to maybe get a Behemoth Blade, but it didn't really pan out that way. I choose to put another Wormwind into the Necrozma directly this time in order to mitigate some of those attack boosts that it has been getting. So I think to myself, wow, this is great. I can now get my Amoonguss in for free. We're under Trick Room, so Amoonguss is going to go very fast. For those of you who remember what Alchemy does, unlike me, you see where this is going to go. I'm going to Spore Necrozma, and everything is going to be great. Palkia is going to Earth Power into Alchemy for a special defense boost. Alchemy is going to get some damage, and then I attempt to Spore, but alas, Alchemy's ability prevents that from happening. So that's a big one right there. Because of this, I'm going to lose Amoonguss effectively for nothing. Palkia is going to get a Quake and do a pretty good amount of damage to Alchemy, but losing that Amoonguss effectively for free is really, really going to impact how the rest of this game goes. I bring in Thundurus, and we move on to the next piece of the game where I try to recover. With the Pokemon count at 3-2, now in my opponent's advantage, I am sizing up the stats of their Pokemon and trying to figure out how to best stop the bleeding. Thankfully, for the first time, probably all game long, I have a pretty clean turn. I decide to taunt the Alchemy so that it cannot support the Necrozma any further, and I protect with Palkia. So Protect will go off. Taunt will go into the Alchemy, so it will be unable to decorate. You're going to see that get blocked here in a moment. And the Necrozma does attack into the protected Palkia, so that goes swimmingly. And also for the first time all game long, I decide that I'm going to commit to the Necrozma. I'm going to Thunder Wave, Earth Power that slot in order to hopefully neutralize the threat, as this is the last turn of Trick Room. However, Necrozma dodges the Thunder Wave, so Alchemy is going to deal some damage, and then Necrozma is going to be able to take out Palkia as it intended last turn. From here, it is just my sad lone Thundurus. I decide to go ahead and maybe taunt the Necrozma in case it wants to reset Trick Room, But at this point in the game, it doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of time before Thunderous falls and the game is over. Okay, obviously, you don't want to forget the abilities of the opposing Pokemon that you're facing. But I do want to expand upon that just a little bit. Now, without Amoonguss's ability to Spore, it is a sitting duck for Necrozma and otherwise matches up horribly into my opponent's side of the field for this game. What I could have done instead was bring in Thunderous on the turn that I brought in Amoonguss. It would have allowed me to attempt to taunt the Alchemy faster, to perhaps have that Pokemon survive a hit from Necrozma, would have given me more of an opportunity to neutralize the Alchemy, because if I can get rid of Alchemy before Amoonguss comes into play, all of a sudden my Amoonguss is no longer dead weight on the team, and I can perhaps leverage some of its strength, especially if Trick Room is still available. Alas, I didn't do those things, and this ended up on YouTube. If getting creamed because I forgot an ability is fun for you, might I recommend the second episode of Why Did I Lose, where something very, very similar happens to me. I'm going to put that episode up here for your viewing pleasure, and that's my time. I'll see you next week.